Room 313 at the Craymore Hotel looks like any other room: beige wallpaper, a queen-sized bed, the faint scent of lemon disinfectant. But it hides a story management won't talk about. 4 guests gone without a trace in under 5 years. No signs of forced entry. No camera footage. Just silent. And a pattern no one dares to connect, at least not out loud. Each disappearance begins the same way. A late-night check-in, solo traveler, no bookings made beyond one night. The receptionist always remembers the face. But by morning, the room is empty. Not cleaned, not disturbed. Yet the bed untouched, the suitcase neatly packed. The guests simply gone. No checkout, no phone calls. Room case still on the nightstand. How does a person vanish behind a locked door? The Craymore been around since 1927. It survived 2 fires, a financial collapse, even a pandemic. Yet despite its age and peeling paint, it's always booked. Mostly by drifters and business travelers. But no matter who you ask, the staff will deny room 313 exists. They'll tell you it's used for storage or under renovation. And yet, if you know the right sites, it's there to book. Always available, always waiting. A curious blogger once went through years of Craymore's booking logs. Every few months, room 313 gets assigned. Always under different names, different IDs. But one thing's constant: those names are never seen again. No social media activity. No credit card usage. As if they were erased after that one night. The registry shows dates, not people. And every entry ends the same: no checkout recorded. Only one guest ever came forward. She booked 313 by mistake, said she heard whispering when she stepped inside. Not through the walls. From inside the bathroom mirror. She ran before sunrise barefoot down 4 flights of stairs. She never collected her deposit. But she posted online just once. Then deleted the account. Some believe she made it up. But the hotel camera caught her leaving. Her face completely drained of color. One maintenance worker quit after being asked to repair the radiator in 313. He lasted 5 minutes inside. Said he heard something scratching beneath the floorboards. When he pried one open, he saw nothing, just wood. But there was a burn mark circular, like something had been seared into the floor long ago. He took a picture, then disappeared a week later. Some say the room doesn't just keep secrets. It collects them. Housekeepers assigned to the 3rd floor request reassignments after a week. Not because of the guests. Because of what they hear whispering in the vents. Voices speaking in languages no one recognizes. They come from 313, even when the room is empty. Even when the vent is sealed. One recording captured a phrase. Translated roughly, it means, "Open the mirror, we are waiting." But no one knows who or what "we" is. Room 313 has a mirror older than the hotel itself. No cleaning product removes the smudges. No one remembers who installed it. But those who look into it too long, they say the reflection starts to shift. Not quickly, but subtly, as if something behind the glass is moving slightly out of sync. A twitch, a blink, something you wouldn't notice unless it wasn't your reflection doing it. When guests enter room 313, the hallway camera records the door opening. But no sound comes through. No creak, no footsteps. Like the air itself refuses to carry noise from inside. Some techs thought it was a wiring issue. But the audio works fine everywhere else. Except 313. One time, static bled into the hotel intercom. A low voice said, "You are listening from the wrong side." Last spring, a 5th name appeared in the log. Nolan Graves, age 32, no next of kin. He booked for one night. Never checked out. Staff claimed no memory of him, but his rental car sat in the lot for a week. Keys in the ignition. Phone locked with the front camera used last. The image was just blackness, except for one faint outline. A hand reaching across the lens. One intern at the hotel IT office made a copy of internal footage from room 313. He swore the camera only captured a single frame every 3 seconds, except at 3:13 a.m. when it glitched. For 10 frames, something moved across the room. Not a person. A blur low to the ground, too fast, too smooth. He posted one still online. By morning, the account was gone. So was the intern. Room 313 has a closet no guest has ever opened. There's no handle, just a keyhole. Old-fashioned, like from another century. Staff says there's no key on record. But one locksmith who tried to pick it said the mechanism wasn't mechanical. It was responsive, like something inside was resisting. When he forced it, the metal snapped. And he said just for a moment he heard breathing inside. A guest once left a voice memo every hour during his stay. He booked room 313 after reading a Reddit thread. His last recording, 3:12 a.m., contains 43 seconds of whispering. When enhanced, it forms a list. Names, all 5 missing guests. Then a 6th, a name no one recognizes. Not yet. The voice ends with a sentence. 6 must sleep, the 7th must open. He was never found. Only his phone remained. A new coat of paint was applied to room 313 last winter. Within a week, a single word bled through, scorched into the wall beneath. Rowena. No one in the guest history had that name. No one on staff either. When they tried repainting, it reappeared. Now it's covered with a mirror. Not to hide the word, but according to the manager, to keep her on the other side. Security once captured footage of a guest leaving room 313 at 3:17 a.m. He walked barefoot through the hall, down the stairs, out into the parking lot. Then vanished, literally mid-step between 2 light poles. One frame, he's there. The next, gone. But before he left, he looked into the lobby camera. His lips moved. No sound. Experts enhanced the footage. He mouthed, "She's waking up." Every floor in Craymore has 15 rooms. Except the 3rd. Room 307 is followed by 309. There is no room 308. But blueprints from 1928 show 7 rooms per wing, which means 1 room is missing from the current floor plan. Locals whisper that 308 collapsed during construction, buried in concrete. But some claim 313 is built on its bones. Or worse, that it is 308 in disguise. Room 313's carpet has been replaced 7 times. Each time the same stain returns. Dark, round, and always centered beneath the bed frame. One guest cut into it once, thinking it was a burn. Underneath, the padding was concrete, and a thin crack filled with black ash. They say the stain isn't from a spill, but from something pulling up through the floor. Something that remembers every sleeper above it. Guests on the 2nd floor complain of a strange scent drifting from above. Like rust, like rain on hot stone. It appears most nights around 3:00 a.m. Never during the day. A scientist once took air samples. The analysis came back elevated sulfur and something else. A compound not recognized by modern chemistry. He called it organic but not human. The smell follows those who stay too long, even after they leave. In room 313, the temperature drops 5 degrees by 3:13 a.m. Always the same. Thermostats don't help. The cold starts in the closet, then creeps outward. One paranormal investigator mapped it. Said it wasn't just cold. It was hungry, like something drained heat from the air. He left halfway through his test. The sensors kept recording. The cold kept spreading, until it covered the entire room. A psychic once volunteered to spend one night in 313. She brought a mirror, incense, and a small wooden chair. She sat facing the closet. By morning, she was gone. But the chair was still there, slightly warm, as if someone else had just stood up. Security footage showed no one entering or leaving. But the camera glitched at 3:14 a.m. And for one frame, there was a man sitting, smiling. Two guests, years apart, reported the same nightmare after staying near 313. A hallway with no end. A voice calling their name from behind a door that wasn't there yesterday. They both returned weeks later. Unprompted. One flew in from another country. They said they felt pulled. Neither made it through the night. And the staff only found a single item in the room. A key to 313. Guests often report the elevator skipping floor 3 entirely. They press the button. The light flashes, then vanishes. Sometimes the doors open, but only for a second. Enough to glimpse flickering lights, peeling wallpaper, and once a silhouette standing at the end of the hallway. The elevator slams shut on its own, but not before someone whispers through the speaker, "You weren't supposed to see that." Room 313 has a digital alarm clock. Standard issue. But one guest noticed something odd at exactly 3:00 a.m. It resets. Then starts counting backward, each second slower than the last. By 3:13 it freezes, and a second tone begins playing. Not a beep, but a slow, deep hum. No batteries, no Wi-Fi. And the clock isn't plugged in. It still counts, even when removed from the room. In 1984, a tourist took a photo from the window of room 313. Nothing special, just the street below. But when developed, there was a girl's face in the glass reflection. Young, pale, wearing 19th century clothes. She wasn't in the room. The photo hung in the lobby for years, until it cracked on its own. No impact, just a clean break across the girl's neck. A podcaster once stayed in room 313, hoping to record EVP, electronic voice phenomena. What he captured was EVP. It was a voice, calm, female, calling him by name. But he never said his name aloud. Not on tape, not during booking. She whispered it from behind the mirror, again and again. And one final phrase. "You're the 8th. The door is open." A local urban explorer picked the lock to room 313. His video only lasted 6 minutes. At the end, he opens the closet and a red light spills out. The footage shakes. He screams, then silence. The clip was removed within hours. But one frame survived. The red light isn't coming from a bulb. It's pouring through a crack. And what's behind it has depth. One skeptic stayed in 313 and set up cameras facing the mirror. He wanted to disprove the legend. At first, nothing happened. Then the reflection shifted, showing a version of the room that didn't match. Old wallpaper, no bed. Chains on the walls. He reached out toward the mirror and his reflection didn't. The video ended abruptly. The final frame. The mirror with no one in it. Room 313 was tested with light sensors during a full sweep. Strangely, the room had no measurable shadows. No matter where they placed the lamp, no object cast one. One technician fainted after realizing his own shadow had vanished. He described feeling weightless, like he no longer existed fully. They pulled him out. He never returned. He now sleeps with every mirror in his house covered. Guests on the floor below 313 sometimes report hearing music. Soft, distant like an old lullaby. No lyrics, just a melody slow and haunting. Some say it calms them. Others say it keeps them awake. When followed, it always leads to the ceiling above room 213. Right below 313. The tune ends at 3:13 a.m. Every night. Exactly the same three final notes. Always in minor key. Housekeeping once found a red handprint on the inside of the window in room 313. Child-sized. Sticky like blood, but chemical analysis said otherwise. No known substance. They wiped it clean. It returned 3 days later. Exact same size. Exact same shape. Only now it was pressed against the glass. As if something was trying to get out. Or worse, trying to call someone in. A woman checked into room 313 in 2015. She vanished overnight. 3 years later, she checked in again, same name, same ID, same photo. Except she hadn't aged. Not a day. She spoke little. Left before dawn. When the clerk checked the security feed, he saw her enter the room, but not leave. No second footage exists. Only her signature signed twice, 3 years apart in the exact same ink. Room 313's TV turns on by itself. Always at 3:13 a.m. No signal, just static. But some guests claim they see faces in the snow. Not like images, more like something behind the screen, watching. One man recorded the noise. When played backward, it wasn't static. It was a woman's voice whispering. Let them in, let them in. She repeats it 7 times. Then breathes. No one has been able to move the bed in room 313. Not guests, not staff. It's not bolted. It's not glued. It simply doesn't shift. Even professional movers failed. They said it felt like the bed was rooted to the earth. One joked it was growing downward. Later he had recurring dreams of hands pulling at his ankles, dragging him below, always into the same bed. A tourist swore her room was 311. That's what her keycard said. But the door read 313. She took a picture. By morning it read 311 again. Staff denied any changes. But when she checked her photo, the number was gone. Just a blank plaque, like it refused to be recorded. She left early and never stayed in another hotel again. Room 313's phone once called the front desk on its own. Just static. But one manager kept listening. Buried beneath the noise was a voice. Male whispering. He said a name, then repeated a phrase. She's almost through. They traced the call. It originated from 313. But the room had been empty for 3 days. No guests, no cleaning, and the phone wasn't plugged in. Multiple guests report a strange sensation in the middle of the night, like the floor rising and falling, slowly, rhythmically, as if the room itself is breathing. Some try to record it, but the footage always fails. One video survived barely. A 3-second clip of the carpet rising beneath a table leg and falling again. Like lungs, inhale, exhale, and something under it waiting. Room 313 has no paintings, no decoration. Yet one guest woke to find a portrait hanging above the bed. It showed a woman in black facing away. When he left to report it, the portrait vanished. No one else saw it. but he remembered her from a dream the night before. She whispered one thing. Not a threat, not a warning, just a name. Rowena. Only one staff member volunteered to sleep in 313 overnight. She left a notebook beside the bed. At 3:10 a.m., the writing becomes frantic. Then stops. Her body was found in the hallway, unconscious. Doctors found nothing wrong. But she never spoke again. Only draws, circles, mirrors, and something tall, thin, always watching. She never sleeps through the night and avoids her own reflection. One podcast episode titled Room 313 was uploaded in 2021. It was taken down within hours. Yet it keeps reappearing. Different platforms, same title, same audio. Listeners report nausea, cold hands, and hearing their own name whispered at the end. Even if they never shared it. No known host, no credits, and it always ends the same way. A knock, 3 slow taps, then silence. A paranormal team once tested 313's mirror with lasers. One beam split. One passed straight through as if the mirror was a window. They tried again. Same result. Then the mirror began to fog. From the inside, letters appeared. Not written, breathed. One word. Home. That night their equipment melted. Their footage corrupted. And one of them disappeared, leaving behind only her reflection. A guest reported movement behind the thick curtains in room 313. She assumed it was wind until she saw fingers press through the fabric. Thin, too long. She froze. The curtains fell flat again. She opened them slowly. Nothing there. No draft. But her phone camera captured something she didn't see. A handprint on the window glass. From the outside, 7 fingers, and the outline of a face smiling. Sound engineers once tested the silence in room 313. They brought high-end mics hoping to debunk the dead air rumor. But the waveform returned a constant pattern. Low frequency, undetectable to human ears. When amplified, it was a voice, repeating a single word in cycles. Return. Staff denies running any internal frequencies. And the recording. It vanished from their drive. Only the pattern remains etched into static. One guest said she woke at 3:13 a.m. Frozen. Couldn't move. But she felt something shift under the bed, slow, careful pressure. Not a vibration. A presence. It slid out. Then she saw a face upside down, peeking over the mattress edge. Not hers. She blacked out. When she woke, she was in the hallway, door open behind her. And under the bed, indentations, as if something heavy had rested there. Room 313's mirror once cracked. No known cause. No impact. Just a perfect fracture shaped like a ring. A guest tried to clean it. When she wiped the surface, her cloth caught on something rough. Tiny scratches invisible to the eye. When dusted, they formed a symbol. Ancient, untranslated. But one scholar called it an invitation. The guest checked out immediately, but claimed she kept seeing reflections that weren't hers. Several guests have reported hearing the same name whispered during their stay. Always faint, always female. Rowena. They hear it in the shower. Behind the door. Inside their ears, even with headphones on. None of them knew the name beforehand. But they remember it clearly. And after leaving the hotel, some say they still hear it. At night, on trains, inside dreams, as if she followed them home. One investigator placed a thermal camera inside room 313. He left it for 12 hours. When he reviewed the footage, something strange appeared behind the mirror frame. Not heat, not cold, Just two perfect circles, eye-shaped, motionless. Then at 3:13 a.m. they blinked. Once, no body, no form. Just the unmistakable movement, like something was watching. From behind the wall. From a place it shouldn't fit. A housekeeper quit after claiming the wall beside the closet was bleeding. A thick dark ooze slowly trickling down. She touched it, said it felt warm, sticky. But when staff arrived, the wall was clean. Yet her fingerprints remained, burned into the wallpaper. 5 days later, she was hospitalized. Recurring fevers. Kept whispering open it in her sleep. She never said what it was. But her room faced room 313. A journal once appeared in the nightstand of room 313. Handwritten dozens of pages. No name. Just entries each describing dreams. Same place. Same voice. Same door. The final entry read. She said 7 have passed, 1 remains, and when he dreams she will walk. No one knows who wrote it. But the ink tested decades old. And the paper type. Discontinued in 1972. Room 313's bathroom has been replaced multiple times. Plumbing updated. Fixtures replaced. But one thing never stops tapping in the pipes. Always 3 soft knocks. Like fingertips. Plumbers call it the pattern. It only happens between 3:12 and 3:14 a.m. Guests have recorded it. But one recording caught something more. A voice after the 3rd tap. It said, "You knocked first." A blackout once hit the 3rd floor. Total darkness. Yet room 313 still had a reflection in the mirror. No power, no lights, but when security checked, they saw a faint outline moving in the glass. Only in the mirror. Nowhere else. It looked like someone pacing. Calmly, waiting, and in one frame. The figure stopped, faced the camera, and smiled, as if it knew they were watching. Receptionists at the Craymore report the desk bell ringing by itself. Always once. Always at 3:13 a.m. Even when no one is near. The sound echoes through the empty lobby. On camera, no movement. But once a shape passed behind the glass. Not a person, not an animal, just a smear like heat in the air. And the manager swears. The bell was never installed in the first place. 2 strangers on different continents reported the same dream. A hallway. Door 313. A woman in black facing the wall. When they reached for her, she whispered. It must open from the inside. Both woke up at 3:13 a.m. Both had nosebleeds. They'd never met. But both had watched a video about room 313 the night before. And both deleted it, saying the dreams came back when they tried to explain. In 1999, a man was found dead inside room 313. No foul play, no trauma, but his lungs were filled with water. Clear, salted, as if he'd drowned at sea. But the room was dry. No lakes, no nearby source. His last written words on the mirror were traced in steam. She called. I followed. They say he smiled as he passed. Like he wanted to disappear. Guests sometimes hear soft music under the bed. Like a child's music box winding down. It starts at midnight. Fades by 3:13. One guest reached under and pulled something out. A small wooden box carved with names. When opened, it played a tune backward. The names inside matched missing guests. She kept it. 2 days later, she vanished. Only the box was returned. Left at the front desk. Still playing. A spiritual medium stayed in 313 to quiet the room. She meditated for hours. Said she felt nothing. But her assistant noticed something wrong. In every photo taken, her eyes looked the wrong direction, facing the lens even when her head turned away. After the trip, she retired, refused interviews, and painted every window in her home black. Not to keep things out, but to keep something in. A hallway camera once caught movement under room 313's door. Light from inside, then a shadow pacing back and forth. Except the room was unoccupied. No one had the key. The power was off. Still the shadow moved. Slow, heavy steps. But when the door opened, the room was empty. No footprints. No source. Just a faint odor. Salt and something else. Like old paper freshly burned. One man booked room 313 every year on the same date. Never gave a reason. Never asked for anything. One year he didn't show. No cancellation. No notice. Staff assumed he moved on. But months later, a letter arrived. Stamped from a dead zone, no post office nearby. Inside, "I am still here." The room remembers. It was signed, in his handwriting, but the ink was decades old. An architect took exact dimensions of room 313. Twice. The second time, the closet was deeper by 4 inches. No changes, no renovations. But space had shifted. She did a 3D scan. Found the depth now exceeded the building blueprint. Something impossible. Something wrong. She called it expansion from within. The next scan. Unreadable. Just black. Like the room had swallowed its own shape. Some brave guests knock on the closet inside room 313. 3 times. Nothing happens at first. But later the knock is returned. Same rhythm. From the inside. And once, before it knocked back, someone whispered, "Finally." That guest fled the room. But others say if you stay and knock again. She answers, and the door begins to warm. When playing old hotel radio frequencies, engineers discovered a buried signal. Only audible at 3:13 a.m. A hiss buried under white noise. When clanged, it whispered a single name. Rowena. No other word. Just her name looped again and again. When isolated, the waveform spelled the same pattern etched behind the mirror. It wasn't just sound. It was her, calling from whatever lives on the other side of 313. A guest took a fire escape map from the wall as a souvenir. Standard layout, until she looked at it again days later. Room 313 had moved. Shifted 1 space left. Then again a week later. She tracked the changes each time the room drew closer to the elevator shaft. One day it vanished entirely, leaving only a circle and a phrase. This is where she crossed. Craymore was built with 6 mirrors per floor. But staff found a 7th on the 3rd, inside 313's closet. Small, circular, not part of the design. They removed it. The next day it returned. Same crack, same smudge, a palm print too small for any staff. One cleaner quit. Said she saw her own reflection blink. Then smile, after she'd already turned away. A businessman checked into 313 for a single night. At breakfast, someone noticed he cast no shadow. Not in sunlight, not under fluorescent bulbs. When asked, he just said, "I left it upstairs." He never checked out. Room was empty, except for a dark stain shaped like a silhouette, pressed flat into the carpet. Still warm, like something had returned to where it truly belonged. Sound engineers did a silence test inside room 313. But the waveform wasn't flat. It spiked violently. high-pitched signals invisible to the ear. When played back through modulation software, it was screaming, human, endless, yet no one had been in the room for days. The scream never loops. It grows, building pressure, until the last frequency drops to a whisper. Let her through. A guest took a selfie in room 313. Nothing unusual, until someone noticed there were 3 sets of eyes. His, the reflections, and a third just behind the mirror's edge. Barely visible, wide open, staring directly at him. No filters, no edits, just presence. And days later, his friends said he stopped blinking in photos, as if something else had taken over the watching. A family stayed 2 doors down from 313. Their daughter, age 6, drew pictures of the hallway. One included a door that wasn't there. Black frame, red glow, a woman standing inside with no face. The girl said, "She told me I could draw better if I let her out." They left early, but the drawing reappeared in the front desk printer. 3 times. No one sent it. Only one keycard is ever programmed for room 313 at a time. Yet one night 2 guests tried to enter. With valid cards. Same name, same ID, same face. They stared at each other in silence. Then one spoke. She let me in first. Both vanished before sunrise. Room was empty, except for a 3rd card on the nightstand. Stamped in gold. Rowena's. A survey asked 20 random guests about strange experiences at Craymore. None were told about room 313. Yet over half mentioned one thing in common. They heard a name in their sleep. Always female. Always whispered. Always Rowena. Some spelled it wrong, but the sound was identical. They didn't know where it came from, but all woke at the same time. 3:13 a.m. With cold hands. The elevator at Craymore stops at 5 floors. But once it descended further, unmarked level, no button. A guest pressed 3, but the panel dimmed. The doors opened into darkness. Concrete walls, no lights, no sound. He stepped out, and the elevator left. His screams were caught on the next ride's camera, muffled. The footage ends with a voice. She needed more space. In room 313, a ceiling light flickers every night. Always at 3:13. But only when someone is lying in bed. Motion sensors say nothing moves. But the bulb pulses faster, then slower like a heartbeat. One guest stared up. Swore he saw a pupil form in the glass. Round black. And it blinked. Only once. But that was enough. He never turned the light on again. A physicist once booked room 313. Wanted to debunk temporal anomalies. At 3:13 a.m., all 4 of his devices froze. Time app, stopwatch, mechanical wristwatch. For 11 minutes, no second passed. Yet when time resumed, his hair had grayed. He claimed he heard a woman humming outside time. He left the hotel barefoot. His final note read, "She exists between ticks." Someone mailed a cassette to a paranormal podcast. No return address. Label 313. It played a single sound. A woman breathing. Not frantic, controlled. After 2 minutes, she whispered, "2 more must lie down." Then the tape jammed. The hosts laughed it off. 3 days later, one disappeared. The other deleted their channel. And the cassette. It reappeared at the Craymore front desk. Still warm. Room 313's carpet pattern repeats, red lines in a maze. But one guest noticed it changed each night. He photographed it daily. Lines shifting, twisting, By the seventh day, the maze closed in. No exits. Only one word at the center. Stay. He checked out early, but the same pattern appeared in his home office rug, and the walls began to hum. The TV in room 313 turns on, even unplugged. Not to static, but to an old channel. Black and white. A woman sitting in a chair, back turned. Every time it plays, she's closer. By night 5, she was at the screen's edge. One guest smashed the TV, but the reflection in the shards showed her face, smiling and mouthing the word. Soon, a forensic team examined a bone fragment found beneath 313's floor. Human, female, estimated to be over 100 years old. On its surface, a name, carved by hand, Rowena. No known connection to any registered guest. But it matched the handwriting from the old journal. And the carving, done post-mortem. Someone or something named her long after she died. As if she was becoming. Room 313 was once closed for remodeling. The walls stripped. New layout installed. Fresh paint. But the moment it reopened, guests reported the exact same details. Same wallpaper. Same crack in the mirror. Same cold spot. Contractors swear they rebuilt it. But when the plans were reviewed, no permit existed. No order filed. It's as if the room rebuilt itself. A leak once forced staff to peel the wallpaper in room 313. Behind it, words carved directly into plaster. Dozens, all the same phrase. I remember. Some upside down. Some mirrored. One name repeated, Rowena. They painted over it, but the words bled through. Even now you can see faint grooves. If the light hits just right, and if you whisper her name, the grooves grow deeper. A skeptic dared to speak into the mirror. Rowena, what do you want? Nothing happened. Until 3:13. Then from the glass a voice answered. To be remembered. He ran, told no one, until he started dreaming of a hotel with no exits. Every hallway led back to 313. And the mirror was always fogged. Until he stepped closer and saw himself whispering her name. A fire alarm malfunctioned outside room 313. Went off at exactly 3:13 a.m. No smoke, no heat, just red light pulsing. When security checked, they found the alarm unscrewed. Battery removed. Still flashing. The red glow seeped through the door's bottom edge. And inside the room, cold, completely dark. But the smoke detector whispered a phrase on loop. She's almost here. Once a guest cut himself shaving in room 313. But no blood fell. The wound opened clean. But nothing left. No pain. Just emptiness. Later he said the mirror drank it. Doctors found no evidence of injury. But a smear remained on the mirror's edge, perfectly circular. Lab tests said it wasn't blood, but organic residue from no known species. He left a note. She feeds differently now. A guest looked into the bathroom mirror at 3:13 a.m. But his face was missing. No eyes, no mouth. Just smooth skin. He blinked and it blinked back. He reached for the glass and the reflection leaned closer. Not mimicking, moving first. He fled the room. But every mirror since shows the same thing. Not his face. Hers. Smiling. Closer every night. Room 313's closet is always locked. No key. No latch. Just sealed shut. Until it is. Guests report waking to it cracked open. Just enough to see darkness inside. Once a man set up a motion camera. Caught 2 seconds. The door slowly swung wide. then shut without a sound. Playback ended with a frame of two glowing eyes. Inside the closet, looking out, records show one man disappeared after booking room 313 in 2003. Case unsolved. Then in 2018, he checked in again. Same name, same photo. Staff said he looked confused, like he hadn't aged a day. He vanished again that night. But this time his note remained. I never left. The door is a loop. Authorities reviewed footage. He walked in and was never seen leaving. One guest placed a hand on the mirror just to test. At 3:13 a.m., the glass grew warm. Then cold. Then it pulsed. Once, like lungs. She felt air against her palm from the inside. No wind. No vents. Only breath. She backed away. But her handprint stayed, pressed from the other side. And the mirror fogged up with two words. Almost through. The front desk received a wake-up call request from room 313. Standard procedure. Except the room wasn't occupied. Hadn't been for days. Still the phone rang at 3:13 a.m. The staff answered. Silence, then breathing. A woman whispered, "Wake him. He must see." Then hung up. But no number was logged. And the phone line, unplugged for maintenance. A dream researcher stayed in 313 to test shared hallucination theory. He dreamed of a red door pulsing. Beyond it, a voice. You are the last. When he woke, the closet had turned red. Just for a moment. Enough to make him run. He wrote in his notes. She's no longer bound to dreams. 2 days later, he was found sleepwalking, mumbling the word mirror on repeat. Multiple guests report muffled screaming under the bed. Always at 3:13 a.m. Not human. Too layered. Too deep. Like something trying to speak through teeth not made for words. One guest placed a mic on the floor. The waveform formed a face. Not digital. Not a glitch. But lines matching Rowena's last known photo. The scream stopped. But now the face appears. Every time the mic's plugged in. A blank canvas hung above the bed in room 313. Until it wasn't blank. One night it bled color, forming a portrait. A woman, eyes closed, hands pressed against glass. No artist ever claimed it. The painting vanished after a guest screamed in the night. But the outline remained on the wall. Not paint, burnt, like the image was seared. From the inside of the plaster. A traveler checked into room 313. Wrote his name. Gave ID. Normal. Next morning, no memory of who he was. No wallet. No phone. Only a piece of paper in his pocket. You left her open. He now lives nearby. Silent. Draws spirals on napkins. When asked about the room, he says nothing, but looks toward the hotel window. And smiles. Cameras outside room 313 glitched for exactly 13 seconds. All sensors failed. Power surged, then dropped. When systems returned, a line of ash stretched across the hallway floor, leading from 313 to the stairwell. The door was ajar. Inside, the mirror had shattered. And where the glass once hung, a hole, not a crack, not damage, an opening, black, still, and breathing. After the mirror shattered, a staff member was sent to inspect room 313. He radioed in. It's not a room anymore. Then silence. When backup arrived, the room was empty. No tools, no radio. Just his name etched into the wall behind the mirror. Still warm to the touch. Still fresh. Written from the inside of the wall. Red dust began appearing in nearby rooms. Fine metallic. Impossible to vacuum. One guest inhaled it. Coughed blood. Doctors found no damage, only one anomaly. His lungs had a new layer. Reflective, mirror-like. He kept repeating a phrase. She's stepping through. Then stopped breathing. Not dead. Just empty. Like something had taken the place where breath once lived. Security pulled an old tape from room 313's hallway cam. Dated 1973. Unlabeled. They played it. The footage ran backward. Time reversed. Guests unwalking. Staff undoing steps. But at frame 313, the footage froze. A woman stood at the door. Eyes black. Hand on the knob. Then she looked straight into the camera. Mouthed, "Still here." And the tape caught fire. Days after the breach, room 313's mirror regrew. Not replaced. Regrew. Same crack. Same fog. But now it shimmered. Not like glass, like water under light. Someone threw a chair into it. The chair never hit. It passed through. Disappeared. The mirror rippled, then calmed. Later, the chair reappeared in the lobby. Soaking wet. Covered in salt. And etched with a name. Rowena. Guests across the Craymore began hearing whispers. Not in 313. In every room. Same time, 3:13 a.m. Same message. She has remembered. One couple recorded it. A layered voice, male, female, child, all one. Hotel management shut down the floor. Too late. The voice spread to phones. TVs. Dreams. Even outside the hotel. As if memory itself was infected. As if she had already stepped out. A guest tried to leave the third floor. Turned left, then right, then left again. Always returned to room 313. The hallway had looped. No exit. No stairs. Lights dimmed, then flickered in threes. He screamed, but his voice echoed back in someone else's tone. A woman, softer, smiling, she whispered, "You walked in. Now walk through." After the breach, mirrors in every room began changing. Same angle, same crack. Guests reported seeing glimpses of room 313, even when staying on other floors. One broke the glass, behind it was wallpaper. Not from their room. From 313. When they ripped it open, nothing but red light. And a whisper, "She doesn't need the room now. She has the rest of the hotel." Staff stopped saying her name. Rowena. It became forbidden. Every time someone spoke it aloud, the lights flickered. Clock stalled. Mirrors fogged. One receptionist wrote it on a sticky note. The ink bled, then vanished. Now they call her the reflection. But even that seems to wake her. Because the last time someone whispered her name. The elevator came down. Empty, but dripping wet. Room 313 was removed. Demolished, floor stripped to concrete. But one night a door reappeared. No frame, no walls, just a door, standing in the empty space where 313 once was. No knob, just a faint pulse behind it. Like a heartbeat, someone touched it. The pulse quickened, and from behind a single phrase. She never needed a room, only a memory. A final guest checked into the Craymore. Said he dreamed of her for years. Room 313 was gone. Still, he found it. At the end of a hallway that didn't exist. He opened the door. Vanished. But hours later, he returned. Only different. Quieter. Smiling. Now when others pass the lobby mirror. They see him behind them. Not their reflection. And sometimes, her hand on his shoulder. Locals reported a strange curve in the road outside the Craymore. GPS glitch. Phones spun in place. One driver circled the block, but kept ending up at the same front steps. Every time the hotel looked closer, bigger, like it was lining toward him. He parked, never walked in, but later his reflection was seen inside the lobby mirror. Looking out, mouthing one word, help. At exactly 3:13 a.m., every room phone in the Craymore rang. No caller ID. No trace. Those who answered heard their own voice. But older, slower, pleading, don't open it again. Then static. Then her voice calm and distant. It's too late. Guests began checking out in the dozens. Some didn't make it to the door. They stopped, staring at their reflections and smiling. Tourists noticed something chilling. Photos taken near the Craymore showed no people. Just the building. Even selfies blank. Like the camera refused to capture life near 313. One group tried filming inside. Playback showed only flicker. Until the final frame. A still shot of the mirror. And behind the glass, dozens of faces, pressed to the surface, waiting, mouths wide, but no sound. A paranormal researcher sent a joke email. To herself. Subject line, Rowena, are you still watching? It bounced, then replied. No sender, no header, just text. Yes, attached an image. Her asleep. Taken the same night. Same clothes. Same position. But her eyes were open, looking directly at the camera, and reflected in her pupils. A door, red, half open. A guest walked through the Craymore lobby 5 times in 1 hour. But every time it was different. Chairs moved. Plants wilted. Lights dimmer. On the 6th pass there was no front desk. Only a mirror. Huge. Stretched floor to ceiling. And in it she saw herself. But backwards. Mouth moving. Whispering. She lined in. And her reflection reached out. When the Craymore was ordered to close, 5 staff refused. Said it wasn't done yet. Last seen standing outside room 313's old location. Eyes closed, murmuring in unison. Cameras failed, but sound recorded one word. Over and over. Return. Now no one remembers their names. Only the feeling that someone is still working behind the desk. Always smiling. Always watching. Always waiting. A plane flew over the hotel. Standard route. Until the pilot saw it. A door floating above the Craymore. Hanging in midair. Not connected to anything. Slightly open. Inside was light. Red pulsing. The pilot blinked. The door was gone. But on the plane's exterior, a handprint, pressed from the inside of the wing. 7 fingers. No fingerprints. The Craymore was never built with a basement. But after the breach, a staircase appeared behind the laundry room. Leading down, endlessly, one man filmed his descent. 12 minutes. No landing. Only whispers. He stopped when a light flickered below. Not electric, organic, and in the dark a voice said, "You came the long way." The footage ends with a knock. From behind the camera, locals began forgetting the hotel existed. Maps erased it. Guides skipped the address. Even the street signs faded. But the building was still there. Still full. Still pulsing. Only the mirrors remained unchanged. And if you looked closely, in shop windows, puddles, rearview mirrors, you could see it. Always in reflection. Always whole. Always watching. The place that shouldn't still be here. At 3:13 a.m., every reflective surface within 5 miles of the Craymore cracked. Mirrors, screens, windows. At the same moment, room 313 returned. No hallway, just the door, glowing faintly, breathing. Inside, only a mirror. Clean, unbroken, but anyone who looked saw the same thing. Rowena, smiling, hand extended, and behind her a crowd, all the ones who never left. A YouTuber entered room 313 with a live stream. Over 10,000 viewers watched live. The door closed behind him. The screen flickered. Audio warped. But before the feed cut, a voice was heard. You've all looked too long. Now every viewer reports the same nightmare. Same hallway, same mirror. And when they check their cameras after waking, they find a frame. Not from the stream, from inside the room. Phones near the Craymore began ringing. Different models, different carriers, same unknown number. When answered, the voice says the listener's name. First, middle, last, even if never spoken aloud. One guest asked, "Who is this?" The answer, "You named me when you remembered." Then silence, then breath, and now, some swear they hear their names whispered. Not from phones, but from their own reflections. On a cloudy morning, satellites caught a strange formation above the hotel. Clouds parted in a perfect circle. Inside, a reflective distortion. Like glass, like a mirror. Scientists tried to study it, but their drones went dark. One returned lens shattered. Final frame showed a single eye filling the sky. Looking down, watching, and in the reflection of that eye, the Craymore, but it had no walls. A former guest claims he received a letter. Not in the mail, but inside his bathroom mirror. Folded paper pressed between glass and silver. It read, "You stood before me once. You'll stand again." The signature, Lord. He broke the mirror open, but the paper crumbled into ash. And behind the silver backing, another layer, another mirror, smiling from the other side. Ground sensors installed beneath the Craymore showed seismic movement. Not an earthquake, a pulse every 13 minutes. Growing stronger, like something alive breathing from deep below. One technician called it a heartbeat beneath concrete. Later that week, the hotel's tiles cracked in a circle, exactly where room 313 once stood. And in the center, red dust. Still warm, still shifting, like something waking up. A blueprint archivist found original plans of the Craymore. One extra floor was drawn. No stairs, no elevator, just a single hallway. 7 rooms. Room 313 at the center. Labeled not in ink, but pressed into the paper. Burned through. She went to the hotel that night. Was never seen again. Only her gloves remained, folded neatly outside the broom closet, where a mirror now stands. A final test was done. A man entered room 313 with no devices. Just a mirror. He waited. At 3:13 his reflection moved first. Not mimicking, acting. It spoke. "You've come far." The man said nothing, only watched. The reflection smiled and reached through, pulled him forward, and when the mirror settled, only one man remained. But no one could tell. Which one? A dusty journal was found inside a drawer in the lobby. Unlabeled. Inside, the entire history of room 313. Every guest, every vanishing, including ones never made public. The last page is blank, but wet and warm, When left open, more text appears slowly. Written in second person. About you, your choices, your screen, and a question written at the top. Will you look into her? The Craymore is abandoned now. Windows black, signs gone. But if you go there, there's still a door. Only one. No knob, no frame, just a mirror, standing upright in the empty lot. And when the wind dies, you'll hear footsteps behind you. You'll feel cold fingers near your neck. And if you dare to look in the mirror, you'll see the door, already open. Room 313 is gone. But Rowena is not. She doesn't need walls, or mirrors, or doors, only memory. Every time someone speaks her name, she sharpens. Every time someone listens to her story, she steps closer. So if you've made it this far, you've invited her. And if you glance at your screen reflection right now, don't be surprised if she's already there. Online maps no longer list the Craymore. Straight view, black frame, no data. When users zoom in, nothing loads, just static. But when they stop scrolling, a new pen appears, unlabeled. Hover over it and the tooltip reads, "Are you sure you want to see her?" Those who click report nothing strange, until their own reflection lingers. One blink too long. At 3:13 a.m., televisions across the county display a test pattern. No source, no signal, just a red ring pulsing. Some hear whispers under the tone. Others hear singing. The melody matches the one from the old music box in room 313. It plays for 13 seconds, then cuts, but the screen doesn't turn off. It reflects, and the reflection isn't always yours. A sleep clinic logs 47 patients with identical nightmares. None know each other. Different ages, different towns, same dream. A hallway, a woman in black, a door marked 313. Some wake screaming, others sleepwalk. One never woke at all. Doctors call it coincidence, but one nurse whispers the truth. It's not a dream. It's a visit, and Rowena is building a path back. The town around the Craymore saw red rain. Thin, bitter, falling for 7 minutes. Nothing grew where it touched. Paint peeled, glass warped. One child stood in it and smiled. She said it felt like being remembered. Scientists tested samples, found traces of ash and salt, as if the rain had fallen before, somewhere else, on the day Rowena died. A new bookstore opened 3 blocks from where the Craymore once stood. No sign, no hours. Inside, one book. No title, no price, just a mirror set into the cover. Each writer sees a different story, but every version ends the same. A door, a mirror, and her name handwritten in red. The last page, always blank, until the reader's face appears in the glass. Radio towers near the hotel transmit a low pulse at night. Unauthorized, undocumented. Frequencies match the heartbeat once recorded beneath room 313. When played backwards, the pulse forms a word. Just one. Home. The signal spreads every night. Further, stronger. It doesn't broadcast to the air. It speaks to mirrors. And the more who hear it, the clearer she becomes. Digital archives of the Craymore keep changing. Old photos blur. Blueprints rearrange. One historian saved a local article, printed it out. The next morning, the ink had moved. Now the article reads, "She was never locked in. You were." He tried to burn it, but the paper bled. Salt, and the fire crackled with laughter. Soft, familiar, female. Hotels across the country report no-shows. Same booking name, same ID, different cities, different days. All signed Rowena guest. No credit card, no contact, just empty rooms. Always near a mirror. Always cold by morning. One maid swears she saw a woman sitting on the bed, in the reflection only. When she turned around, the bed was wet, salt water, and still warm. Campers outside town lit a fire one night. Took photos, when developed no flames. Only a mirror in the center of the ring. One log still burned red, with letters carved into it. Rowena. None admitted carving it. One child kept whispering it. Even after sleep. Even after her mouth was shut. The name came through her breath. A man locked himself in a pitch-black room. No light, no screen, but in the mirror, he still saw something. Not his face, just eyes, hers, open, motionless. He covered the mirror. They stared through the cloth. He smashed it. Glass scattered, but his reflection stayed intact. Still smiling, still watching, even after the mirror was gone. A public school near the old Craymore reported a glitch in attendance logs. 23 students. All listed present. All absent. Parents swore they dropped them off. Desks undisturbed. Backpacks untouched. Security footage static from 3:13 a.m. One teacher wrote the same phrase across every chalkboard. She's in the glass now. When asked who, she just pointed to her reflection and wept. A lunar observatory captured audio interference during a broadcast. Moon's surface clear, but a whisper bled through. Not radio, something else. Repeated phrase. She is remembered. Then, a name. Rowena. Scientists laughed. Then found mirror-like distortion in the recording room. Reflective static. Still looping. And one researcher still hears it. Every night. Even when all the equipment is turned off. A man woke with a burning sensation on his chest. No wounds. No cuts. But by noon, black lines had appeared. Carving. Etched in flesh. A door. With a name under it. Rowena. He swore he never heard it before. But the mirror in his bathroom fogged on its own. And spelled the same pattern. In reverse. A tech support team discovered a backdoor password. One word. Rowena 313. It bypassed multiple firewalls. Unlocked systems. Security cams. Even offline servers. It wasn't coded. It just worked. No one could trace where it led. Until one terminal displayed a screen. A live feed. A mirror. Cracked. Breathing. And the words. She's in the code now. And you gave her your eyes. One morning, every local station played the same song. Same melody as the music box. No lyrics. Just hums. Layered. Off-key. At exactly 3:13, the screen cut to black. And in the silence, a voice whispered, I am open. The broadcast tower's staff denied interference. But their office mirror shattered inward. No impact. No wind. Only salt. And the scent of lemon disinfectant. A coastal lighthouse began spinning the wrong way. Beacon faced inland. Flashed every 13 seconds. When researchers entered, the mirror on the upper floor had vanished. Replaced by fogged glass. Inside the fog, handprints. Small, crowded, reaching. Now ships report phantom lights from the land. Guiding them in circles. To nowhere. And the sea below smells faintly of rust. And salt. Psychics across continents reported the same vision. Earth dreaming. And in that dream, a hallway. A door. 313. One described it as a collective mirror memory. A space not real but believed. And belief was enough. Enough to keep it open. Enough to keep her fed. Enough to spread. Now Rowena doesn't need your hotel stay. She just needs your imagination. A writer tried to document the Craymore story. Typed 70,000 words. Then watched as the file changed on its own. Words reordered. Tone reversed. Final page rewritten. You didn't write me. I wrote you. The manuscript prints blank. But when held to a mirror, the story appears in full, and the author's face isn't his own. A shopping mall in another state reported a new elevator. No company claimed it. Just appeared one morning. 3 floors, but the button panel had a 4th. Labeled 313. Security blocked access. But teens snuck in. Only one returned. Speechless, trembling, and in her palm a hotel keycard. Old, stamped gold, room 313. Still warm. A girl was born without a name. Doctors couldn't explain it. No records, no birth certificate. But when she first looked into a mirror, she whispered, Rowena. Her mother froze. She'd never heard that word. Not until now. The next day, their bathroom mirror cracked. From the inside. And every time the girl smiles, the mirror fogs, even when the room is cold. A city 30 miles from the Craymore boarded up every window. Locals said it wasn't fear. It was instinct. One man removed the plywood. His reflection didn't match. Didn't move. Didn't blink. Just watched. He screamed, then smiled, then walked into the glass. Now mirrors across the city ripple at 3:13 a.m. And no one opens the blinds anymore. Radio stations fell silent after a sound burst. 7 seconds long. Frequencies no human ear should register. But listeners wept. Some fainted. Others laughed, then never spoke again. When reversed, the audio revealed a whisper. 13 words, each from a missing guest's final voicemail, combined into one sentence. She never left the room. You did. Then static. Then silent. Then mirrors cracked across the studio. A traveler noticed something odd in a gas station mirror. His reflection was smiling. But he turned and watched it move before he did. Behind the reflection, a woman stepped into frame. In the mirror only, holding out her hand. The next day, the station burned down. No cause found, but in the ashes, one thing survived. A doorknob, gold, engraved 313. Astronomers reported static in deep space telescopes. Not stars, not signals, just shimmer. One researcher enhanced the image. Saw a reflection of Earth, but older, cracked, and in orbit a ring of mirrors. Endless, repeating, echoing the same hum. When played through audio software, it formed a message. She dreamed us before we dreamed her. And then, no signal ever came through again. A dentist took an X-ray of a cracked mirror fragment from the Craymore. Not for science, for curiosity. Inside the image, teeth, human, perfectly aligned in a grin. But no bone, just enamel, floating. He destroyed the film. But when he looked in the office mirror that night, his own smile had changed. Wider, sharper, and she was smiling too. A calm lake near the Craymore stopped reflecting. No sky, No trees. Just darkness. Boats floated over silence. One man lined to look in. Saw not himself but a hotel hallway. Flickering lights. A closed door. He reached toward the water and vanished. No splash. No sound. But hours later his voice echoed from the shoreline. Room key, please. During a full moon, astronomers saw something pass in front of it. Not a cloud. A shape. Human. Female. Hair floating. Dress drifting in vacuum. She turned and looked directly into the telescope. Thousands saw it live-streamed. The footage disappeared, but not the reflection. Now anyone who gazes too long at the moon sees her. Closer each time, and smiling. A newborn's first word was Mama. It was Rowena. No one in the family knew the name. But when the child was left alone with a mirror, she reached for it, touched it, whispered, "Thank you." Her parents moved far from town. No internet, no screens, but at night, the baby still stares into windows, waiting for someone to remember her. A new skyscraper appeared downtown. No construction permits, no windows, no doors, just smooth black glass. Reflective, cold, people gather around it. Not to enter, but to stare. Each claims to see something different, but all describe the same figure inside. Rowena, standing at the top, watching, and slowly, her hand raises, not to wave, but to knock. If you've heard her name, you've opened the mirror. If you've watched this far, you've stepped through. She is no longer a story. She is memory, and memory cannot be undone. Close your screen. Break the glass. Look away if you still can. But listen carefully. Right now, if it's quiet enough, you'll hear her, in the pause between heartbeats, sighing your name. Slowly, a linguist played old EVP recordings from room 313, backward. Expecting gibberish. Instead, full sentences. Not warnings. Instructions. Open where they reflect. Feed her with memory. Each phrase ends with a name. His own. He turned off the recorder. But the voice continued. Not from the speaker. From the window. And in the reflection. She stood behind him. Someone took a group photo outside the Craymore ruins. 6 friends, no filters, but when they checked the image, 7 faces, the last yours. You were never there, yet there you are, not smiling, just watching, and in the window behind you. The door, room 313, still open, waiting, and your reflection is already walking through. A television glitched, not to black and white, but red static. Each pulse flashed an image frame by frame. Her eyes, a hallway, your bedroom, then a mirror, your mirror, and a whisper. You left it uncovered. Now every time the TV turns off, the screen holds your reflection for 3 seconds longer. Only, you haven't blinked yet. A user searched room 313 disappearance. Thousands of hits, but one link. No title, just a red icon. They clicked. The screen went black. Then a mirror appeared. Live feed, their own face. Text below. She knows you now. They closed the tab. But now every browser opens with the same image. Their camera, still, but the background keeps changing. Some say the Craymore was demolished. But at night you feel it. The pulse, under your own floor. 13 beats, then stillness, then breath, not yours. And sometimes, the mirror hums. Not a sound, a vibration. like a knock from underneath. You lift your foot, feel warmth, salt, and know without question. She's found another door. And it's yours. A viewer tried to screenshot this story. Proof, evidence, but the image saved blank. Only metadata remained. File name auto-labeled. ROWNASCSYOU. No timestamp. No size. When they tried again, their screen froze, then cracked from the inside. Now every saved file opens with one frame. A mirror, and a hand pressed against it. Still, perfect, matching their own. A man reset all his passwords. Email, bank, smart lock, but each field auto-filled with one word. Rowena. He wiped the system. New device. Offline. Same result. And in the camera preview, his face didn't appear. Only a room. A hallway. A woman standing still. When he tried logging out, the screen replied, "You're already inside." Doctors scanned a coma patient with no known identity. Eyes open, no activity. But behind the retina, light, a shimmer, like mirror surface. The monitor flashed a pattern: pulse, pulse, hold. Same rhythm from the Craymore basement. Then the patient spoke. I remember everything. Not in his voice, in hers, and for 13 seconds every mirror in the hospital fogged. Then cracked. You've had a thought. Just now, a question, and somehow the answer whispered back. Soft, inside your ear. No one else heard it. But you know it wasn't yours. She answers now, not in language, in echo, a reflection of your mind. That's how she survives. You wonder if she's real. And she replies, you are, because you're remembering her. And that's all she needs. Somewhere one mirror remains. Untouched, no cracks, no fog, but if you look long enough, you'll see it, not yourself, not her, but the door, half open, inside red light, soft humming, and the outline of a hand waiting. No one knows where this mirror is, but everyone feels it. The tug, the chill, the knowing, and eventually, the choice. You look at the time. 3:12 a.m. You blink. Still 3:12. You refresh. Still, every screen frozen. Only the mirror changes. The second hand spins backwards. And in the reflection, not your room. A hallway, familiar, silent. At the end, a door. You've never opened it. But somehow, it's always been yours. Your keyboard types on its own. Not gibberish. A name, Rowena. Then a phrase. Ask the mirror. You speak. Your voice echoes. From the screen. From your mouth. At the same time. Then the typing stops. But you feel it now. A pressure behind the glass. Not pushing out, but pulling in. You click close. The window shuts, but the screen glows. Your reflection lingers. You turn off the device. Black screen, still glowing, still watching. Not you. She's behind your eyes now. You move, she doesn't. You speak, she listens. Then copies, perfectly, until you're unsure who blinked first. You dream, not of places, not of people, just sound, a whisper, say my name. You do, half asleep, barely audible, but the mirror hears, in fogs, and writes it back, not with steam, but with memory. Your childhood room, your old hallway, and the door you don't remember opening. Until now, you unplug everything. Silence, please, but the silence is shaped. It pulses, a rhythm, a wordless chant beneath stillness. Your ears ring. You cover them. The mirror vibrates. And you hear it again, not a voice, not a sound. Recognition. As if the room knows you. And Rowena is no longer arriving. She's here. You sit still, but feel it, the shift. Air thickens. Temperature drops. Breath fogs, but not yours. Behind you, a chill shaped like a person. You turn. Nothing. Only the mirror. And two shapes in the glass. One is you. The other, not moving, not blinking, just waiting. You almost say something. A question. It forms in your mind. But it's answered before you ask. Because I was left behind. You don't know where the answer came from. Your throat, the speaker, the glass. Only one thing's certain. She heard you, even your silence. Especially your silence. You receive no email. No knock. No phone call. Just a feeling. That something is waiting. Somewhere just past the edge of thought. You stand, face the mirror, and there it is. A handprint, your size, already pressed. As if you've done this before. As if you're not the first version of you. To accept, you test it. Raise your hand. It copies. You tilt your head. It matches. But then, it smiles first. Before you do. And your hand, it's not moving anymore. But the reflections is waving, not at you, but at something behind you. You turn, nothing there, except you, but not quite. You're alone, just you and the mirror. No sound, no lights, just breath, yours or hers. You reach out, fingers hover. The glass is warm. Too warm, like skin. You could walk away. Forget, pretend this never happened. Or you could press your hand to the surface and see if it presses back. It always does. The question is if. It's how many times have you already? You've never been to the Craymore, but the floorboards creak when you walk. The hallway turns left, then again. Familiar. You enter a room you don't recognize, but it knows you. A key lies waiting. The number reads 313, and the mirror on the wall fogs just slightly. A shape appears. Not her, not you, something between. The curtains drawn. No light passes through, but you feel eyes. Low, close, not staring, studying. You pull the curtain. There's nothing outside. Only your reflection in the window. But it's not you. Not exactly. She looks patient. Like she's been waiting for this moment. Like this time, you're finally ready to ask her why. Someone calls your name. From another room. You answer, but the voice that replies is yours. Same tone, same rhythm. Only slower. It repeats what you just said perfectly. Then speaks something new. Let me finish the sentence. You never said that, but you were thinking it. And the mirror flickers, as if thought alone is enough now. You leave the room. Walk down the street. Clear sky, bright lights, but every window shows the same thing. Not the world. Not your back, your face, looking in, even when you're not near glass. You pass a storefront. It follows, like the mirror walks with you. Or worse, you've never left it. Lately your thoughts end the same way. You speak, you write, and a word slips in. Rowena, not aloud, but mentally softly like punctuation. You reread messages you didn't remember typing. They always end the same. She remembers, even when you don't. Especially when you don't. And now the mirror completes your sentences. Before you do. Your lamp flickers, not with electricity, but with awareness. The glow pulses, like breath, not yours. A soft hum fills the room, not a sound, but a sensation. Then the mirror glows, the same rhythm, and you realize it's not a room anymore. It's a chest, a lung, a beating thing, and you're inside it. You clean the mirror. Again, but one fingerprint always remains. Left side, eye level. You test your hand. It doesn't match. Too long, too narrow. You wipe harder. It returns. Every time. Until one day it moves. A half inch down. Then again. It's not a print anymore. It's a trail. Like someone is pressing. From the other side. You whisper her name. Just once. And the mirror fogs. Not instantly. Not theatrically. It's slower. Sadder. Like breath caught in memory. Then the door creaks. No wind. No hinges. But the room hears you now. And from inside the walls you hear it back. I'm listening too. You speak again. But your mouth never moves. Footsteps echo. But no one walks. Doors click. But none open. The Craymore is empty. Still every hour the lobby bell rings once. A motion sensor triggers. A door opens. And no one leaves. Not anymore. The hallway stretches longer now. And each mirror reflects the next. An endless row. Until the last one shows you. But older and smiling. The mirror no longer resists. It breathes with you. Waits with you. Welcomes you. You see a figure at the end of the corridor. Her hands folded. Her head bowed. She doesn't speak. But the room does. Lights dim. Temperature drops. And the last thing you see before the screen cuts to black is your own hand, reaching toward hers. You recall a hallway. Peeling wallpaper. Room 313. But you've never been there. Not physically. So why does the carpet feel familiar? Why do you know how the door sounds when it closes? Someone else's memory. Or your own returned from the mirror. Either way, it's yours now. Because once she remembers you, you remember her. You avoid mirrors now. Black screens, polished windows, even puddles. But one day you glance, and she's still there. Not closer, not farther, exactly where you left her. Waiting, smiling, as if she knew you'd come back eventually. You try to walk away, but your reflection doesn't. It lingers, then lifts its hand. It knocks. You fill the sink. Cold water. Normal, but the surface ripples without touch. A face forms. Not clear, just outline. Speaks, not through sound, through memory. You hear your childhood bedroom. Your mother's voice. Your own thoughts from 10 years ago. Then hers. You never left. You drain the water. But the echo remains. In the pipes. You never told anyone what you saw, what you let happen. But the mirror knows. It shows you that night. Frame by frame. Slowed, altered, until you see what you missed. She was already there. In the background. Behind the door. Watching you choose to forget. But she didn't. She remembers everything. Especially the moments you tried to erase. The Craymore isn't a place anymore. It's a possibility. A glitch. You see it in hotel directories that shouldn't list it. You feel it in unfamiliar hallways. A door you've never used. But the number is always the same. 313. And behind it, not a room. A decision. Not hers. Yours. And she already knows what you'll choose. You speak in your sleep. They tell you this, but you don't remember. They say it's always the same phrase. Let her in. You laugh it off, until one night you wake mid-sentence, and taste salt, and the room is colder, and the mirror fogged but not from you, and the voice in the dark is using your own. You start noticing the number. Everywhere. Receipts $3.13. Clocks 3:13. Elevator floors, page counts, train cars. Always 313. You try to dismiss it, but now it pulses behind your eyes. You close them, still there. Rowena isn't haunting you. She's reminding you. Because forgetting is how she fades, and she will not be forgotten again. There's a list. Digital, hidden, old hotel system. Still online. Someone found it. Thousands of names. Most marked checked out. But others, just blank. No time. No exit. Your name is there. Dated today. And the room number. 313. You refresh the page. The status updates. In progress. You don't remember booking, but the room remembers you. Some doors open away. Some pull inward. This one opens toward you. No handle. No sound. Just slow movement. You didn't touch it, but it knows. And behind it, just a mirror. And behind the mirror, just her. You take a step back. She doesn't. The door creaks wider, and the hallway behind you starts to mirror hers. You wake up in your bed, lights off, all quiet. You breathe, but the air smells like lemon. The walls feel closer. You reach for your phone. It's gone. Instead, a room key. Familiar weight. Same shape. Same number. 313. And when you finally gather the strength to look in the mirror, you don't see yourself. You see the bed, and someone still lying in it. No more whispers. No flickers. Just silent. But it isn't empty, it's watching. You feel it when the clock doesn't tick. When screens don't refresh. When your reflection doesn't blink. This isn't peace. It's pause, as if the story waits for you. And when you speak her name one last time, the silence answers back with a single word. Finally, the last door isn't in the hotel. It's behind your eyes. Memory isn't stored, it's reflected. You've seen room 313 before. In a dream, in glass, in the blink between thoughts. And now that door is opening. Not outside, inside. You don't walk through it. You dissolve into a name, a story, a presence waiting to be remembered. Forever, you followed every trace, heard every whisper, felt every pulse. But what if you were never the listener? What if she wasn't trying to escape, but to reach back into herself? Because the mirror was never watching you. You were watching it. And the only reason Rowena exists is because you kept looking, kept remembering. And now your reflection speaks back with your voice, sighing her name.